So far, we have implemented the display of two validation messages in the input text field. Notice that the condition in the ngIf directive is very lengthy and may be tedious to understand the logic. Notice the initial part of the condition that includes touched, dirty and invalid. This part gets repeated for each validation message, which can be avoided if appropriate code changes are done. Considering these drawbacks, I am going to incorporate some changes so that it is simpler to implement and understand. I am copying one of the div tags that contains the validation message and pasting it after the current two div tags. In this, I am removing the required check that is defined in the end, including the AND operator. Then I am enclosing the message with a new div tag by including the open div tag in the beginning and a closing div tag at the end. Now I am including the ngIf directive for this inner div tag. The objective of the outer div tag is to decide if the validation error message needs to be shown or not based on touched, dirty and invalid properties. For each validation error message, we are going to define a specific inner div tag. This inner div tag should contain the condition in ngIf that will be specific to the respective validation error message. This div tag contains the message for mandatory field validation, hence we can include the condition that checks for required in the errors property. I am copying the respective condition from the previous div and pasting it for the newly defined ngIf directive. This inner div tag will display the mandatory field error message. Then I am copying and pasting this inner div tag again for displaying the minimum length message. I am changing required to min length. Then copying and pasting the respective message from the second div tag that we included earlier. This inner div tag will display the minimum length validation message. Now the initial two div tags below the input text field are not required. For now, let me comment it. With these changes, the behavior of the validation is expected to be the same as earlier. The difference is that the code is organized in a different way. Let us now check if the validation works as it is after these changes. I am saving the file. After the page reload, I am going to verify if the two validations are working correctly or not. If I type a character, the minimum length message is shown. Up to 3 characters, the minimum length message gets displayed. Once the fourth character is entered, the minimum length message is not displayed. If I clear all the 4 characters, then the mandatory field message is displayed. We have achieved the same validation related functionality by simplifying the way the conditions of ngIf directive is organized. For inclusion of any new validation message, it is sufficient to duplicate this line with appropriate changes. Now, as the new lines of code is working, I will be later removing the commented section of code. Based on the instructions provided in this video, try to rearrange the code and check if it works as expected.